So let's continue with yesterday's program. Okay. So yesterday we created a program to display purchase order data report, right? For that, what is our first step? The first step is we have to analyze what are the inputs required for this program in the selection screen to filter the data. What is the use of selection screen inputs? To filter the database data and select the required data, right? Here what we are using. So let's continue with the yesterday's program, that is ZDemo PO data report. So what are we doing here? We are displaying the purchase order data, right? We're displaying the purchase order data. The first step is identifying the inputs, selection screen inputs. Why we need selection screen inputs? Why we need inputs to the program? To filter the data. When selecting the data from database, we are going to filter the data using the selection screen inputs, right?
Yes, sir.
And what is the next step? After defining the selection screen inputs, what is the next step? Populate the default values if required. Depends on the user requirements, depends on the client's requirement. Populate the default values if they need any. Here we are populating last 10 days date as a date range, right? This is
Yes,
how we populate default values to the select option. What is the next step? Validate the selection screen inputs.
validate the selection
There are
screen
two types of
inputs.
validations. The first validation is checking whether there is at least some value in the input or not. That is first type of validation. What is the second validation? We need to validate
Is correct
whether
or not?
the value which is entered in the input is a valid value or not, right? That is second type of validation. For that, we
Yes,
need to
sir.
write select statements on the check table or master table of that value. For example, if we have a vendor number in the selection screen and if we need to validate whether that is a valid value or not, what we need to do? We need to write select statement on LFA1 table. So what are all the vendors available in LFA1? Those are only the valid vendors. Okay. If user enters any incorrect vendor number, it should not allow. Program should stop here and display the message, right? So after
Yes,
designing the selection screen and selection screen validations, what is the next step?
business logic.
Define the output. What is the output you want to see? What are the fields you want to display as output, right?
Yes, sir.
What are the fields you want to display as output in which order? So this is my output, which is combination of multiple tables, right? So
Yes,
EBLN and EBLP from EKPO, Bookers
sir.
from EKKO,
Google's EKKO,
created creating is also from
EKKO,
EKKO, vendor number is also
partner
from
is also
EKKO.
from EKKO,
This is from
name one from
LFA1.
LFA1, partner is from MAKT,
Matter is from EKPO. Yes, text is from quantity, and these are all from EKPO.
EKKO,
Unit of measurement.
price.
Okay, so this is my final output structure, how I want to display the output. These are combination of different tables. Next, what is the next step? Design the
Start of
business logic.
selection.
Design the business
Business
logic
logic.
in start of selection. So first, I need data from header data, right? EKKO.
Yes, sir.
First, I am selecting header data, and here I am using selection screen inputs to filter the purchase order header data. So everything related to purchase order will start from EKKO table. Okay, because that is the header table. Whatever the purchase order numbers available in EKKO, those are the valid purchase order numbers, right? So first we have to start with
Yes,
EKKO,
sir.
and we are selecting the data. Depends on the created date and vendor number. So we will be getting some records into LT underscore EKKO internal table. Okay, that contains CBLN, company code, AEDAT, and leaf node. What is the next step? So we have a purchase order item data, that is EKPO. In EKPO,
We,
we have purchase order item data. Each item contains a different material with the quantity, price, right?
yes.
One purchase order number may have one or more purchase order items.
Purchase order
Okay, if we
items.
have only one material, we'll be having only single record in EKPO in that purchase order. If you are purchasing multiple materials in the same purchase order, then you will be having multiple items for each material, right? So it is like 1 to n relation. For each record in EKKO, we have multiple records in EKPO table.
Multiple records in LKPO.
If you take one EBLN number, for example, 100 in EKPO, if you enter that 100 in EKPO, we can find multiple records with the same EBLN number, but with different item number, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are the primary keys of EKPO table?
EBEL and ELP.
Yeah, both header and item number. So what is the primary key of
Yes.
EKKO table? Purchase
EBELN.
order header number. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So after selecting purchase order header data, what is our next step? We need to select item data, right?
We need to select item.
For
Yes,
which
sir.
records? What is the input for EKPO data
EB
selection? The input is header level data. Whatever the header level
header data.
data we selected. So we need to select item data for only those records which are in this LT underscore EKKO
Header
internal table.
data.
Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Before selecting that, what is the statement we are going to use to select corresponding
For
data
all
of the
entries.
header internal table for all
For
entries?
all entries.
Okay.
In
Before implementing for all entries, what are the mandatory rules to be followed?
uh,
We need to
three
check.
rows, sir.
We need to make sure there should be at least one record in the header internal table.
One record in the header
How
and
can you
sort
check?
it
You can
by
use is not initial. If LT underscore EKKO is not initial, that is one way. Other way is after select statement, if you are checking sub RC equal to 0, that means there is some record in the select statement is successful and there is some record in the EKKO, right?
yes, sir.
What is the alternative for sub RC check after select statement? You can write like this. If LT underscore EKKO is not
Not
initial.
English.
You can also check like this, right? And write your
Yes, sir.
select statement. End if after select statement,
And if
right? You can also do like this.
yes,
But when we are checking sub RC equal to 0, right? After select statement, that means it is same. It is not initial only. There is some record, right? That's why we are not writing one more time. Selecting the EKPO data by passing EKKO as input,
Okay.
right?
Yes, sir.
Then what is the next level data we are
Second row
selecting?
వచ్చి
We are selecting vendor name, right? So what is the
sir
header table?
we
Sorry.
discuss only one rule, sir. We have three rules. Sort it by
Yeah, sort and delete adjacent. Yes, you're right. So we need to sort, mandatorily sort the internal table by the field which we are
the
using in
primary.
the data selection as input,
Hello.
or the common field between these two tables. What are all the common fields between these two tables, EKKO and DKPO? We have to sort internal table by those common fields. Okay,
Yes, sir.
and we are deleting the adjacent duplicates by comparing those common fields. Okay, when we are comparing the
Yes,
common fields, there should not be any duplicate records. When we apply this delete adjacent, what will happen? It will,
duplicates and
yeah,
unique records will be displayed.
yes, duplicate records will be deleted based on this field. Okay, so in next select statement, what are we doing? We are doing the same actually. So here we are selecting vendor name. So what is the table for vendor name? LFA1. Here it is the item table. Here LFA1 is the item table. What is the header table for LFA1?
EKKO.
EKKO, right? Because vendor number is in EKKO. That is the header table for LFA1. What are we doing here? Because in purchase orders, EBLN number is unique. EBLN number is unique, right? There should not be no repeated
Yes, sir.
entries for same EBLN number. But if you take vendor number for multiple purchase orders, there is a chance of having same vendor, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So today I have created a purchase order to supply some raw material to the company for a specific vendor, vendor number 100. After 2 months, I need the same raw material again. I have created one more purchase order for the same vendor. Now, if you go and check in the table, do we have multiple vendors or not? Sorry, the same vendor is repeating or not for multiple purchase orders?
Yes, sir.
Is it vendor number is repeating, right, for multiple purchase orders? For example, if you sort the internal table records by vendor number and delete the adjacent duplicates, what will happen?
Uh, we lost data, sir.
Yeah, it will delete some of the valid purchase orders from the internal table, right? Because if you
Yes,
compare
sir.
it by vendors, there will be some duplicate records, right? That's why without deleting data from the original internal table, without applying that delete adjacent logic, because it is only specific to for all entries, right? Whatever the delete adjacent duplicates we are doing here, this is
Yes,
just
sir.
to write for all entry statement. For that, what we are doing, first we are copying original internal table data to one temporary internal table data. This is inline declaration to define an internal table. If it is in select statement, we define internal table like this, right?
Yes, sir.
If it is outside of the select statement, we define internal table like this. What are we doing here? We are copying all the
Sir,
data of header internal table to this internal table.
sir, temporary is common, sir, for every internal table.
No, no, this is only specific to this internal table, LT underscore EKQ. It is copy of
Uh,
LT underscore EKQ. Okay?
I mean, okay, sir, but I mean, outside of select statement,
Ah, it is
temporary
common.
is needed, sir, and
Yeah, defining internal table is same. Data of
okay, sir.
internal table name. You can use any name. I'm using TEM because to identify this as a temporary internal table. Okay? You can use any name.
Okay, sir.
So it will create as it is structure like LT underscore EKKO. So now what I am doing, I am applying sort on the temporary internal table, also deleting adjacent duplicates from the temporary internal table. Okay, so that I am not going to
Yes,
lose
sir.
some valid purchase order records from LT underscore EKKO, right?
Yes, sir.
So now we'll select material text also. Yesterday we did not select material text. Let me unformat it. What is the table for material text?
MAKT.
MAKT. What is the header table for material text here in our program? Where we have material number in which table?
Material number
In which table we have
EKPO,
material?
sir.
Do we have
EKPO.
do we have material number in EKKO?
EKPO, sir.
So we have material number in EKPO. So where can you find the material text? Can someone mute? There is some disturbance, I think. Yeah, fine. So, so we have material number in EKPO table. We are selecting material number in EKPO table. Now we need to select corresponding text for this material number, right? From which table? From MAKT,
MAKT.
right? So now what is
Yes,
the
sir.
header table here?
EKPO.
EKPO is the header table. What is the item table?
MAKT.
MAKT is the item table. So now header table is changed because the field material number field is in EKPO. If S5 hyphen, if EKPO select statement is successful equal to 0, and if now if the EKPO select statement is successful, that means if there is some record in the header internal table. Here what is the header internal table? EKPO.
EKPO.
Then first follow the for all entries rules. LT underscore EKPO, because see now tell me, so we have purchase order item records, right? For each purchase order item record we have a material number. So when we sort it by material number, is there any duplicate records or not?
No, sir. MATNR is a primary key in MAKT, sir.
So I'm talking about EKPO. When we sort EKPO
Okay.
internal table by material number, is there any duplicate records or not?
Yes, sir.
There is a chance of duplicate records because
It's not time.
we create purchase order for the same material multiple times, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In 1 month we create for different quantity, in another month we may create for different quantity for the same material, right? If you sort it by material number, there will be duplicate records in EKPO internal table, right? If we delete adjacent, if we apply delete adjacent on EKPO directly, we are going to lose data, valid data, which we need to display in the output. That's why first we need to move that
Temporary.
into a temporary internal table. So I'm not directly applying delete adjacent statements on the original internal table for all entries. Next, sort by which field? Material number.
Matner.
Because matter is the common field between EKPO and MAKT, right?
Yes, sir. Delete adjacent duplicates from Comparing.
Comparing which field? How you are going to delete the
Partner, sir.
duplicates? By comparing
Partner,
using
sir.
Matner.
Comparing.
Select
Select
Matner
Partner and
MEKTX
MAKT
from
from
MEKT into
MAKT
table.
into table at the rate of data
What
LT
is the condition?
underscore MAKT for all entries at the rate of
Which table we have to use? For all entries in which internal table? Hmm? EKPO internal table. EKPO temporary internal table.
where partner is equal to at the rate of IT underscore EQPO underscore temporary
Okay.
hyphen partner. Yes, sir.
Now we have selected item data also. Sorry, material text data also. Now observe one thing here. What is the type of this table? MAKT. What table is this? It is text table, right? MAKT is a
Yes, sir.
text table. So what is the mandatory rule to be followed when we are selecting data from text tables? We should pass
Language key.
SPRAS language key. That is mandatory whenever we are selecting
Yes,
data
sir.
from and SPRAS equal to what is the language you are looking for. If you need only English language every time, just pass it like this, EN.
EN.
But if you want to select data by user login, whatever the login language user selected, you want to display based on that, you need to use system variable s5-langu.
LNGU.
What it will contain? The user login language. Okay? In which language
Yes, sir.
user logged in. The same text will be selected and displayed as output. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Check the syntax. Okay. At the date is missing. Okay, no syntax error. Next, what is the next step? We selected the data for material text. What is the next step? We need to populate to the final internal table, right?
Popular.
How can you populate? Inside the loop statement, what we need to use? We need to read MAKT table data. Read table LT underscore MAKT into
MAKT.
with key. What is
With
the
key.
common field? What is the common field
Partner.
between key table? Matner, right? Matner. EKPO hyphen Matner. If sub RC equal to 0, what we need to populate? AA underscore final hyphen
Final. Final. Under hyphen.
equal to
My TX
AA
is
underscore MAKT hyphen
WA underscore.
you have to populate like this,
make it
field to
yes.
field mapping. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now clear this MAKT work area also.
Make it the
Hmm. Looks like I'm using IT here. LT. Okay.
okay, sir.
Ready printer. Activate the
Activate
program.
and
Now execute.
let it press.
So by default, I'm able to see last 10 days date from today.
Yes,
Execute.
today.
So these are the purchase orders created from the last 10 days. So this is purchase order number, purchase order item number, company code, created date, vendor,
Create
vendor name, material, material description, quantity,
description.
unit of measurement, and total price. Right? If you
Yes,
take
sir.
different month, or if you if you select different date range, you will get different output. So we are going to filter using selection screen inputs. We are going to filter the data, right?
Yes, sir.
How we are displaying the output using CL demo output, right? This is the output, right?
Yes, sir.
CL demo
Yes,
output.
sir.
Okay. So in the output, can I sort this can I sort this output data? Do you, can you find any option here to sort it, or can you find any option in the output screen to print this data? Can you find any option here, or can you find any option to download this data into an Excel file? Is there any options here?
Let's see. Sir, త్రీ త్రీ అప్ సైడ్ ఉన్న దాంట్లో ఏమన్నా ఉంటాయా సార్ ఆప్షన్స్?
No, I'm talking about
టాప్ లైన్
output
టాప్ లైన్.
output screen. I'm talking about output screen. No, these are different. Okay, just to
ఓకే
close and open a new window.
ఓకే సార్.
Okay, we don't have any such options here. It is just
ఎస్
a
సార్.
simple output. But what the users will expect, they should be able to
డౌన్లోడ్.
sort the data, they should be able to download it to Excel file, they should be able to send this output data as email to their
ఎస్
emails, right? And they
ఎస్
should be
సార్.
able to filter the data by company code, by vendor number, or by material number. There are no such options here. This is just a sample output. In general, to display the output, what we use
కుక్కలు వచ్చేసింది రోజంతా వచ్చేసియా రాత్రి సుశలో పడి పోయా అందులో పడి నేను చెప్తున్నాను జాగ్రత్త దాన్ని పెట్టే రెండు వాటి సుసు పిలిచి
please mute. It will
చూసాను
be recorded in the video.
గ్యాస్కి తెలియక లేదు
Can you please go on mute?
బిందుగా
So we use ALV report to display the output. Okay, we use ALV report to display the output. We don't generally use CL demo output. Okay, in projects or in programs, usually we use ALV report. ALV means ABAP list viewer. Okay, ALV means ABAP list list viewer. So we have different types of ALV reports. We have different types of ALV reports, that is list display, grid display. So let's see one by one. Okay.
Okay, sir.
First, do you have any questions? Let me know in this program. Is this program clear for everyone? How we are selecting data from multiple tables which are related to purchase order data. This is the same way. If they ask you to select data from sales order tables, you have to follow the same steps. Inputs might be different. For sales orders, we have customer. Instead of vendor, we have customer. Okay. Inputs might be different, but the way of defining inputs are same. Final output field might be different. There, for sales order data, we use VBAK, VBAP, right? These are the tables for sales order data. You need to go to each table and identify what are the fields you want to display in the output and prepare your final structure and write the select statements on relevant tables, right? Only thing you need to identify is what is the common field between different tables. To select the vendor name, what is the header table for vendor name here?
LFA1.
What is the header table for
Oh,
LFA1?
sorry.
In our program,
EKPO.
what, which one?
Vendor. EKPO, sir.
EKKO,
Vendor
right?
is, yes, sir.
Because we have vendor number in EKKO. So we are selecting corresponding vendor names from LFA1. That is the header data. For material number, to select the material
EKPO.
text, what is the header table? EKPO. Okay. Item table is MAKP. Like that, you have to identify. Okay.
Sir, is there any way to identify what is the header, what is the item table?
That's what I am saying. So we have vendor number, right? So where is the vendor number?
Number is in EPK.
EKKO, right? So from where we need to select the vendor name?
LFA.
LFA1. So what is the input for LFA1? EKKO listener,
When,
right? EKKO vendor number.
yes,
We
yes,
select number. Number is the input to select the name. That might be material or that might be vendor. If you have material number, then only you can select the material text, right?
yes,
Where is
yes,
the
sir.
material number? That is the input.
Material.
That is the input. Where is the material number? In EKPO. So that
In
is the header
EKPO.
table. That is the header table. That is the parent table. That is the parent table. Right?
Yes, sir.
By using that material number, we are going to select the material text. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, like this only we have to select more than four tables also.
Yeah, you can select any number of tables like this. You need to identify what is the header table and what is the item table and write your for all entry statement. Okay.
Sir.
But in recent versions, right, in S4 HANA versions, it is preferable to avoid as much as possible and we can go with the joins. I'll tell you in the next sessions. We can go for joins. Before jumping into ALV reports, right, I wanted to introduce function modules, which comes into modularization techniques. So if you know how to use a function module, then you can work on ALV reports. Okay. For now, just follow this output, sample output. Okay. Tomorrow onwards, tomorrow I'll introduce function modules, how to create a function module and how to call a function module so that you will be able to understand ALV reports. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir.
But these are very important. If you know how to write this logic, then you can do anything. Remaining things are very simple. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Is everyone clear on this program?
Yes, sir.
If if you can complete this exercise today, if you can create one program today on this for all entries concept, I will immediately introduce joins, which is the replacement for all entries. Okay,
Okay, sir.
which is used to select data from multiple tables. But first, you have to understand for all entries concept. Then only you can understand the advantages of using join. Okay, clear? Can you guys practice today?
Yes, sir.
All pending topics, whatever the pending topics, please practice. Practice is very, very, very important. Okay, practice is very important here.